I recently came to the realization that I'm tired of being a mediocre YouTuber. I need to ascend to the upper echelons of content creation. In simple terms, I need to become one of those YouTubers who makes pretentiously long videos about games. So I immediately started thinking,
what are you doing? You're not the thinker.
I needed to find a game that's kind of old and that has a gleeful following of knob polishers who still talk about the game to this day.
Bro, what is you doing?
So I chose a game set in the post-apocalypse, renowned for its multiple endings. No, the other one. I settled on Metro 2033. Well, Metro 2033 Redux to be more precise, but same thing really. Booting up the game, I see a very interesting main menu. I'm not sure if I like it for how unique it is, or if my mind has just been numbed by the spreadsheets I'm usually accustomed to. So I select new game and choose survival because I'm not a coward, and decided to play on normal. Because if I chose anything else, this video would take so much longer to make. So much longer in fact, that the big man upstairs would forget about me even harder.
The tunnel grew colder. Miller and I were close to the surface now. Soon, we would climb up into the howling wind to fight our way through whatever nightmares were waiting there. My long journey was nearly at the end. But would I have the courage, the will to see it through?
Like every other game in existence, we start off with the tutorial section because yes, we truly need to know how to walk, crouch, and interact. I'm being overly cynical. There are certain aspects of the game that it needs to teach you. For example, your gas mask, which is basically a requirement when exploring the outside or toxic areas underground, or your flashlight and how to charge it. The flashlight is actually useful 3 times in the game when squinting is no longer sufficient. It took only a few seconds, but I already noticed something: the atmosphere. If there's one thing this game nails, it's the ambiance of everything going down the latrine. Malfunctioning doors, New York rats running around, massive spider webs, and overly dark environments. I truly felt like I was in a Chinese iPhone factory. Our character, whose name is Artyom by the way, heads up to the surface with an unnamed individual. That's a secret for later. If you thought the underground was depressing, the surface leaves a lot to be desired. You come to the unfortunate realization that above you is Russia, more specifically Moscow. Well, this is a fictional Moscow because you're not immediately stabbed by Kopniks. Artyom and the unnamed individual get ambushed by a pack of unsupervised pit bulls. We don't have an infant with us, so we should be safe, but they haven't eaten in a while, so they're willing to work for their meal. We somewhat hold our own. That's a lie. We immediately get hit so hard we trigger a cutscene, and just as you think things couldn't get worse, the Lord's least violent magpie descends from the sky, ripping off the turret from the car that was supporting us, and then we black out. I hope you don't get tired of Artyom getting knocked out. It happens a lot, like more than 5 times a lot.
Life was never easy in the tunnels, but it was our home. There was comfort in its routines, in seeing the same people day after day. But since the mutant attacks had escalated, fear ruled the station. I had just turned 20 and could never have imagined what would follow on the morning that my stepfather's friend Hunter arrived at the barricade.
Welcome to Exhibition. To be more precise, our room within Exhibition. The cutscene starts off with a panning shot of multiple images of what the world used to be. It's really somber seeing people in the post-apocalypse fantasizing about tourist attractions, pinning pictures of them up like they're the 7 wonders of the world. They will never be able to see these things. And it isn't because of some solvable problem, like a lack of motion or time. And time is money, so still a lack of motion. It's set in stone. Even if they did make it to these locations, they definitely don't look like the pictures. Artyom's gooning session on these locations is interrupted, and we're told a man named Hunter is on his way with news. Specifically, news about other stations. Off the bat, we have a little bit of world building. Whatever Exhibition is, there's others like it. We begin to follow this NPC through Exhibition. The only way I can describe this place is through music. While it is physically small and the path we traveled through is very linear, this place feels lived in. As we walk, we overhear people's conversations. We see lines of people worried about their loved ones, and a hospital filled with gay porn actors. Well, they're not, but the way they're moaning in my ear is unacceptable. I don't care how much pain you're in, you have to stop this. Listen man, I know you're dying, but you're giving the women outside the ick. I think I've twirled around this game's pulse sufficiently, so it's time for a bit of criticism.
The Dark Ones do not kill outright, but they damage a victim's mind. Sooner or later, this leads to death.
I
This game's audio is all over the place. I know, very funny coming from the guy whose microphone is in the other room. The game's music, sound effects, and dialogue just seem pasted on top of each other. There's really no synergy. It's very overwhelming at certain points. Normally, I would fix this in the settings, but yeah. Yemeni children have more life options than this. The creatures apparently responsible for these devastations are called the Dark Ones, who I thought for a good 5 minutes were actual black people, since every other character in this game shares the same complexion that can only be described as Mayo de Noche. We get a little bit of information about the Dark Ones. They apparently have the ability to affect the mind, and they don't kill people outright, except when they do. It's usually more of a decay effect. They play the entire Skippy Toilet franchise in their victims' minds, giving those poor souls only one choice. That's right, reverse birth. We eventually make our way to the gate to meet Hunter, who drags in a box of Israeli medical supplies. He also brings us a gift, an image of the Statue of Liberty. He doesn't hand it directly to me, instead placing it behind him. A little bit disrespectful, but alright. Hunter and this man named Alex apparently have a brief conversation about the Dark Ones that is quickly interrupted by an alarm of creatures invading from the main vents. These creatures are venting. One could say they're among us. My deepest apologies for that joke. Alex opens a locker and it has weapons in it. He takes the assault rifle and gives us a revolver, a weapon wildly known for carrying only 6 shots. Who does he think I am, the lone wanderer? Does he think I'm about to bust open vats? The creatures we're currently fighting are called Nosalas. They either captivate you into the immersion of this world or break it into glass dust, ripping your lungs to shreds after a single inhale. Why do I say this? Nosalas are a very common enemy in this game, if not the most common, and are kinda hard to kill. It can be effectively taken down with headshots or shotgun spamming, which is much easier said than done, as their movement is similar to a greased up police officer, breaking it down in the field. Taking down a lot of these is very taxing on your ammo. They help every fight feel like a fight for your life. At no point from beginning to end did it ever feel like it was easy to beat them. So how did they break my immersion? Well, like I said, from beginning to end, it never felt easy beating them. This is partly due to a skill issue on my part, and also the fact they would run past NPCs to target me. There could be an entire group of hoodlums between you and them, and they would still gun it for you. God help you if you manage to be attacked by more than 2 of these at a time. You could choose to flee the interaction to get back your bearings, but if they graze you once, you're immediately knocked out of your running animation. I know what you're thinking. This entire complaint could be summarized by... And while you would be right, this is my review. I get to complain. We finally dispatched all of the Nosalas, and I'm going to be real with you, I contributed nothing at all. One could say it's mostly due to my genetic lack of skill, but I say it's the revolver having one of the reticles of all time. Hunter and Alex have a little bit of a squabble, because Alex is a doomer believing the Dark Ones are the next step in evolution, putting humans on the bottom of the food chain. Hunter, being the chat he is, doesn't buy into any of that, believing that they should be eradicated, and if he were to die, he'll take a couple of them with him.
They destroyed the outer guard post!
The devil knows what's happening out there, beyond your perimeter. I must go recon the situation. Listen carefully, Atyom. If I'm not back here by morning, you must get to police station and find a man named Miller. Tell him what's happened to me, and what's stirring in the northern tunnels. Show this to Miller, so he knows I've sent you. I trust everything to you, Atyom. Don't let me down. If we are to survive, this threat must be eliminated, no matter the cost. Eliminated.
Man, this guy is so cool. I hope he returns.
Hunter did not return. It wouldn't be easy to find an excuse to leave the station and travel to Polis, but I had given my word. I learned that the caravan was heading to Riga the next day and needed guards. I signed on for the ride.
We wake up after an undisclosed amount of time in the most spacious LA apartment. Well, we didn't wake up ourselves. We were woken up by some random singing at the top of his voice. I don't know why he's being so vocal. People used to get shot for inconveniences like this. We're on our way to our next objective, which is a trolley heading to Riga. Well, I would be going to the objective, but once again, I got kind of immersed, interacting with basically everything on the way there, and listening to bits of dialogue from every NPC, like a couple people quarreling, and an announcement to the station dwellers, learning they're entering in a military alliance with Riga after our not-so-successful defense of their station. We walk through a market of people selling weapons, medical supplies, filters for gas masks, and the most sanitary Ukrainian meat. We end up encountering a guy who gives us starter gear, which comprises of the worst assault rifle in the game. I'm not joking. When faced with the Nosalis, I rather melee than use this thing. It shoots suggestions. I finally make it to the trolley with these three gentlemen, one of which came in last second. Artyom is finally on his way to Riga.
It was the first time I had left the safety of my home station. It troubled me that I hadn't told my stepfather the truth. I would not be heading straight back from Riga. But Hunter was depending on me.
We're currently on our way to Riga. The tag-along from earlier subtly starts exposition dumping on us. I don't necessarily care for certain parts of his life, but he does name-drop multiple factions. Hamza, the Reds, and demonetization. Our calming journey is cut short when we're told the usual track is blocked. Something about African Americans getting sturdy on the tracks. So we have to take a detour, and you already know what's about to happen. Things are about to go tits up. But I just want to appreciate how funny it is that there are currently two track choices ahead of us. The easy route and death. The amount of Nosalises up ahead could not have accumulated over a single day. They've definitely been there for a while, and nobody thought to mention them. As we slowly pass through the tunnel, seriously, I think running would be faster, we get brain blasted and knocked unconscious for the second time, and see a vision of Hunter fighting a dark one. When we come to, everyone is unconscious, and we're being followed by a gaggle of homeless men who've heard the coins jiggle in our pocket. We're given a shotgun and attempt to survive all the way to Riga. It's only a 2-shot shotgun, by the way, meaning unless you're a headshot demon, you can only take out one Nosalis before having to reload. I'm trying to figure out how I can properly relay this experience towards you. Picture this: you encountered a police officer who has his hand on his gun. Your task is to pull out your identification faster than he can shoot you. A truly nerve-wracking experience. We did get knocked off the trolley at a certain point, but were able to make it to the gate, and with help from the Riga guards, were able to defeat the horde. We all made it, except for the guy who didn't.
Riga station was only the first stop on my journey, but the caravan went no further. So, before parting ways, we drank to celebrate our survival. The vodka didn't drown my fear of traveling on to Polis alone, but I was about to find myself with an unexpected and notorious partner.
We start off in a bar with the two guys from the previous mission singing our praises, and we're even given some ammo. Artyom finally decides to leave, and on his way out, he encounters a kid.
Are you Artyom? Hey, there's a man at the Black Street waiting for you. I'll guide you there for 1 bullet.
Damn, only 1 bullet? What an excellent price. I would have given you a whole gun. You look old enough to handle a firearm. The child leads us to Bourbon, a man with a proposition for us.
Everybody calls me Bourbon. Listen, I need to get to Dry Station for some business, but this rat hole is on lockdown. I, however, know a back way. A so-called cursed passage the locals are afraid to use. But I hear the shit in the tunnels doesn't work on you. So, you help me get to Dry, I'll give you my AK when we get there. Deal? Good. Here's an advance payment in case you need to gear up first. Are you ready? Sitting in this crap hole is useless.
We follow Bourbon down possibly the sketchiest path imaginable. While we play Walking Simulator in the background, it's time for another glazing session. I really like how this game incentivizes exploration. Once again, the game is fairly linear, but it does sprinkle in a fair amount of loot off the beaten path, usually in the form of safes with a key in some random area. There's also the occasional cabinet and lockers. I wish these cabinets were a little bit more visible, because at certain points I would simply resort to spam clicking E while humping walls. But either way, it's a good mechanic.
As I entered the abandoned tunnel with Bourbon, I wondered if I'd been wrong to trust him. But the station gates were still sealed, and there was no telling when I'd have another chance to leave Riga.
We are currently traveling down Monsters Will Definitely Be There alley with Bourbon, and then we see a glimpse of a new enemy type. These are lurkers. They are not a threat, only a manifestation of the word nuisance. In most cases, you can simply run past them, unless they hit you and then you're knocked out of your running animation. They also do this beautiful thing where they will attack you and then proceed to run away at light speed, completely destroying any chance you had at retaliation. On an unrelated note, Bourbon is a character.
Some people call these demons, I call them bitches.
If these lines came from anyone else, I'd probably be annoyed, but his alcoholic lying nature reminds me a lot of my father, so I have no choice but to like him. Our chum and Bourbon stumble across a bandit outpost with a primitive alarm system right outside its door. We sneak past it and Bourbon gives me a command.
We need to get closer. Can you take down the patrol?
All I have to do is stealthily take down the patrol. Let me just sneak past here, and I was immediately spotted. What an excellent segue to the stealth system. It's what experts would call, wait, let me find an eloquent word for this. Dog shit. Enemy sightlines are kinda random, like they can blatantly see you and it just won't register that you're there. The surefire way to do any stealth is equip a suppressor on your gun and simply beam people from a distance, and hope to God they can't tell where you are. And now a second segue to combat. This game has very simple combat. Stand and shoot. Preferably when fighting people, go for headshots. There are multiple ammo types, but the most common ones are pistol ammo, assault rifle ammo, and shotgun ammo. Pistol ammo is used for your revolver. This is your big iron on your hip, capable of killing armored and armored people with a single headshot. Assault rifle ammo, obviously used for assault rifles. Despite the spray and pray nature of assault rifles, I recommend using this ammo type sparingly, as there are two pools of assault rifle ammo. There's common ammo and military grade ammo. Military grade ammo works like a sort of currency for this world, so if you deplete your common ammo in the middle of a fight, your gun will switch to military grade ammo. You will be shooting money. Due to my current financial situation, this made me sweat profusely, as I cannot waste money in real life or in game. This is because my job pays me nothing. My job is being a student. Shotgun shells are obviously for shotguns. It's not as bountiful as other ammo types, so I don't recommend spraying and praying. Only use this when you're up close to something and have a guaranteed hit. There are some other weird ammo types like ball bearings and darts, but I found these to be so rare that I just never considered getting the weapons that use them. There's a bunch of secondary weapons like molotovs, explosives, and knives. I'm going to be real with you, I didn't use them. After the battle, I looted the dead for more ammunition. I actually also did this during the battle. We then enter an abandoned railway tunnel. Well, every tunnel in this game is abandoned. An even more abandoned tunnel, and get attacked by Nosalis. And then we have to hide from a Hamza patrol. They're looking for the bandits. Well, other bandits. I'm pretty sure we just killed the other group. After the Hamza patrol passes, you won't believe this, we're attacked by more Nosalis. We partook in Indian infrastructure to get across a gap, and it performed just as well as you'd expect. We did all this only to find out that our path has been blocked, and according to Bourbon, it was done purposefully by bandits to funnel us into a trap. But before we can leave, we're politely asked for change. Sorry man, I don't have any. We walk into a graveyard. No ordinary graveyard. This is a radioactive one. While Bourbon tries to open a gate, I loot the bodies. Things were going pretty well, until we both got hit with MK Ultra. In the fever dreams, we're getting pushed away from the exit, so we have to resist this, and pull Bourbon with us to the other side. Well, we couldn't do it alone. E.T. helped us. No, but seriously, a Dark One helped us. Their motives at this point in the game are still very vague. We finally make it to the gate of the market, unfortunately dragging half of Syria with us. A Hamza trolley shows up to defeat the Nosalis, and then we're finally able to enter.
I'd never seen a market like this. You could buy almost anything. But Bourbon owed money to the Hansa sentries and was anxious to leave.
So, you old drunk. What are you getting this time around? And who's the boy?
Look here, boss. I'm sure we can work this out.
Sure? Let's go and chat a little. And you keep an eye on this one, huh?
Don't move! Stand still, I'm talking to you!
I'm trying to test my limits here. After meeting back up with Bourbon, he tells us that we owe those guys money for helping us, and that we need to find a back way out of here. He then tells me to get filters for the upcoming journey, and get back to him in 5 minutes. I also took this opportunity to change my shotgun, from one of the Founding Fathers' weapons to an actual decent weapon, with the ability to shoot 6 shots in quick succession. This is completely off the script, by the way. That took me 9 tries. I want you to know that. Bourbon's friend allows us to leave, and we make our way up to Putin's Russia.
When we emerged into the ruins of Moscow, I felt both fear and sorrow. But after a life underground, I also saw strange beauty in the dark skies and frozen landscape. So that's the dead city, grunted Bourbon. Welcome home, Artyom.
Welcome to the nicest area of Moscow. Using your gas mask up here is mandatory. We need to make our way to Dry Station. However, on our way there, Bourbon and I get separated, meaning I have to take the long way alone. This seems like a good time to talk about the navigation. When you hold down M, you open up a journal with a compass. I'm sure it has its uses. I just never used it, opting rather to eyeball that shit and praying to Warren Buffett that I was going in the right direction. Side note, I wasn't, and ended up fighting multiple Nosalis that I did not need to fight, while being harassed by the least obvious government pigeon. Also, don't fight this thing. It's technically killable, available, but the ammo requirement to do this is so steep it's almost never worth it. During my travels, I walk through a playground and have a severe allergic reaction. My 21-year-old genes knew I had no business in a playground. I finally get back with Bourbon and end up having close call after close call, barely making it to our objective. The only way I can describe this adventure is a 4% success rate.
As we went underground, it struck me that my city was now a foreign and hostile place. I felt safe here, in the darkness of the metro. More so when Bourbon claimed to have friends at Dry Station.
We find ourselves in an air duct, and Bourbon goes out ahead to find out if his friends were there.
Hold it! Who are you? Hey, give me some light! Oh, ha, ha. Who do we have here? It's Bourbon the Huckster.
Look who's talking. Take me to your boss. I have business with him.
The boss? But of course! And to the boss it is! Where else would you like to go, huh?
Okay, that's enough. Or else we'll have to drag him.
It's safe to say, those were not his friends. We need to save Bourbon, so I take his AK and engage in fruitful dialogue with his captors. After debating 30 men, we finally make it to Bourbon, only to see him die in a cutscene against some random. Why do we even try? Things are looking bleak, so the game decides to throw a curveball at you and some random guy descends from the ceiling. He gives us a quote-unquote choice to follow him down the only exit. With such an alluring choice, I decided to go with him. On a completely unrelated note, the game decides to compensate for the chance that you might not have taken Bourbon's AK by just leaving one on the floor of the room you just entered. I really appreciate this, as my law-abiding ass almost left his AK back there, thinking Bourbon would be alive to come get it.
Khan's appearance caught me by surprise. Although while fighting the bandits, I did sense someone helping from the shadows. Khan assured me that Bourbon's fate was not tied to my own. But I regretted his death.
They know we are here. Come closer to the tubes and listen. Just don't stay for too long.
Oh, you were being dead-ass about the don't listen for too long thing. What follows is a Hall of Fame yapping session about the dead and spirits. These are not apparitions or hallucinations, they're actually real, because if you get too close, you actually die. Game over. I advise you to follow his instructions. Apparently the people who died long ago in this tunnel are locked in a perpetual state of reliving their death, and if an outsider dies here, you get dragged into the loop. He also prays some of the spirits away, which, my guy, you couldn't have written these words on a wall to help someone else? You know what? I respect it. Top-notch gatekeeping. Apparently he was with those guys when they died.
It appears that the devastation we brought upon ourselves was complete. Heaven, hell, and purgatory were atomized as well. So when a soul leaves the body, it has nowhere to go and must remain here in the metro. A harsh but not undeserved atonement for our sins, wouldn't you agree?
That's such a good line. It almost makes up for every other grievance I've had with the game up until this point. In fact, I'm going to steal it and use it whenever goth girls are around. We then encounter an anomaly. He takes the chance to elaborate that this thing is neither evil or good, as it exists as a concept like fire. It passes and then we proceed to get bum-rushed by a bunch of Nosalis. We hold our own for as long as we can, and just when things are looking bleak, the anomaly returns and wipes them out. Maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. We hop on a gas-powered trolley and travel to Cursed. Oh boy, only good things can come from a place called Cursed.
Khan led me into Cursed Station. The name was no accident. Its people were locked in an endless war for survival.
This is one of the missions of all time, as you're supposed to help these guys defend Curse from a bunch of Nosalis who are entering from 2 points. One of them tells you that there's too many, you can lead them back to the group to dispatch them. When they said this, I thought there was a fixed amount that I had to deal with. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with a heavy heart I have to tell you that these enemies respawn infinitely. What you're actually supposed to do is just bolt through the different objectives, like grabbing the gas canister, running to the other side of the track, blowing up the tunnel, running up the stairs to blow up that section too. I totally don't have a bunch of footage of me fighting endless waves of Nosalis, slowly running out of ammunition. The shaman then takes us to his sex dungeon. I'm joking, it's a shrine. He peels open a panel and then shows us the path we need to take to Armory. He has friends there who will help us. While my time with him was very brief game-wise, it really did help uplift the soul. The next section does the exact opposite of that.
Armory Station was where most of the weapons in the metro were made. There had been an arms factory located above, And after the nukes fell, many of the workers settled here. I was looking for Andrew the Smith, but he found me first.
Armory is apparently a free station. However, it's under the control of the Reds, who are communists. The only thing free at this station is your labor. Unfortunately, we find ourselves under arrest during an identification inspection. The guy who was getting inspected with us knocks out 2 guards and tells us to run. You know, this would be a pretty cool sequence if our characters didn't move like molasses. Halfway through the chase, my guy just died. He just got shot. I'm not sure if this is scripted or something, but it felt way too early. So I ended up having to smell where I needed to go. While running away, we're pulled into a home, and it turns out to be the friend of the shaman. He's able to organize a ride for Artyom to get to the front line between the Reds and the demonetization. Not as a soldier heading to the meat grinder, but in the cargo bay. Before we head out, he gives us the opportunity to equip ourselves for the journey ahead and to upgrade all my weapons, my AK, revolver and shotgun, giving them sights and silencers to truly become an assassin, refusing to engage any of my enemies head on, rather pew-pewing them at a distance. We get under the trolley and, hey, I'm not a guy who's like really into realism in his games, but I think I'll be able to see a guy through some wooden panels. It's not even like a 1 centimeter panel gap, it's a whole inch. Also, the book this game is based on is right in front of you the entire way, very subtle.
Even the apocalypse didn't stop us from killing one another over ideology. I was about to go through the front line between the Nazis and the communists. I've heard they once fought another war, but the Nazis lost.
So in this world, World War II definitely happened, and the bad guys lost. Why are they back? We make it to the front line. Remember when I said the stealth system is kinda janky? Yeah, this is where you truly show it off. I found sneaking past the communists is 100% doable, even if it doesn't look like it. However, finding a way to go is a battle in its own right. What we're actually supposed to do is descend to a lower platform, hop on some pipes, hop on some pipes, hop on some pipes, hop on some stairs, and then hop on some pipes all the way to the ground, and attempt not to get blown up by every trap in Vietnam. Make it to the demonetization side. My patience was kinda running thin, so I decided to speedrun the stealth, which led me to being spotted by the trolley, and then had to fight all of Hans and Muller Incorporated. I actually held my own pretty well, and then I got taken out in a cutscene. We get knocked out again.
When I came to my senses, I lost all hope. Nazi prisoners were used for slave labor or target practice.
I get saved by some commandos wearing the same uniform as Hunter. We need to get the information to a man named Miller. This is the start of a turret section. I hate turret sections, even when the controls are good. In this case, the controls are not good. Up and down, yeah, you use your mouse. Side to side, A and D. What Neanderthal at? 4A Games thought this would be a good idea. I don't even feel like explaining any of this to you. We fight a lot of German enthusiasts, end up losing the turret trolley, and hop on a second trolley.
After our firefight with the Nazi trolleys, it seemed we would have an easy road ahead. Once again, I was wrong.
The guy we're with, his name is Pavel by the way, gets yoinked, and now we need to go ahead alone.
After Pavel's death, I was on my own. Somehow I had to reach Black Station. Ullman would meet me there and take me to Polis.
We stumble upon a station in dire need of defense. Against waves and waves of Nosalis, everything was kinda going well until we get mind-wiped by some dark ones operating a sewer drone or something, because I definitely did not see one. We get knocked unconscious again, and when we wake up, everyone is dead. The one guy who's alive tells us to contact Polis and tell them that shit's kinda hitting the fan. So we travel alone and encounter a lot of lurkers. Didn't fight a single one. I just kept running. They knocked me out of my running animation. Guess what? I just kept running. I could not be asked. I then encountered a kid who was grieving his dead uncle. I put him on my back and continued running. The kid was very annoying. I'm pretty sure all kids in this game are voice acted by the same person. To be fair, he does give useful callouts, like where the next lurker is gonna jump at you from, so I guess I'll tolerate him. We make it to a section where we need to gain vertical distance, and the kid comments about how this is first time seeing the sky. This is amazing. It's a quick snap back to reality on just how grim things are looking for most people in this game. We bring the child back to his mother, who's very appreciative of us saving her son. She tries to pay us for our good deed. I refuse to accept the payment, not because I'm a good person, but she's insinuating I have no motion.
I went up again to the gloomy charm of post-apocalyptic Moscow. I was warned in Hull Station about a new squad of Nazi rangers on the surface. But I meant to fulfill the last wish of the dead commander and send his message to Polis.
We have to fight an entire Hugo Boss fashion show. Outpost is one of those levels that could probably have benefited from learning the navigation system, but I didn't and suffered for my decisions. The combat wasn't hard at all. It was quite trivial since I had a bunch of silenced weapons, which are overpowered against humans. We fought in the chasm, we fought in a building, and we fought in the street while being serenaded by songbirds.
It was clear that Black Station was occupied by fascists, but Olin had said he'd wait for me there. I had to risk it.
What took you so long? Where's Pavel? Did he... Alright, later. The situation got worse. Nazis literally flooded the station. You'll have to act alone. Sorry. But if you can shut down their generator, it'll be easier to sneak past the guards. Take this.
I'm not doing all that. I'm just gonna shoot them all. We meet back up with him and ride the rail back to the next location.
Even children hated by their parents try to love and understand them. We wish to understand you and help you. What is he doing? Wicked phenomenon, yes. But, you know, it's not any more evil than, say, fire. It all depends on your point of view. Try to get a better understanding of things before you make your judgment. Let's move out now. It's not safe here. It's hard to describe my feelings at that moment. Exhausted, yes, but joyful. I had made it. Once I delivered Hunter's message, the rescue of my home station would be decided by those stronger and wiser than I. And my task would be over.
We finally made it to Polis. Here we're able to buy a whole host of new weapons, like the Bi-Gun and the AK-2012. We tell the situation to Miller and then eventually the Council. The Council's response can be summarized by, "Nah, bruh." Miller wasn't exactly happy with their decision and decides to help us anyway, and gives us a mission to obtain information about the missile base called D6.
The Council's decision shocked me, but Miller's plan gave me hope. Once more, I climbed up to the bones of Moscow to search for the secret of D6 and a way to awaken the horde of missiles.
We make our way to the surface and to the library, where the information is apparently held. This is where the simplistic nature of the game's journal really hits you in the knees with a crowbar. What you're supposed to do in this mission is head to the library, hold your own against several Nosalas, and then 2 soldiers fade into existence and help you proceed into the library. How was I supposed to know this? I probably skipped over some dialogue or something. We enter the library and the game just throws new gameplay elements at you. In this case, breakable doors. Also a chandelier you have to shoot for it to swing down and break open a door? What is this, Half-Life? A pigeon breaks into the room that we're currently in and roughs up one of the guys, meaning I have to go ahead alone.
I was alone again, and soon I would look into the eyes of fear, literally.
Entering this mission, I saw a big monkey, and I thought, oh, it's a boss fight, and then promptly mag-dumped him with multiple weapons, only for me to come to the unfortunate realization that there's multiple of him on this level. The entire level can simply be defined as Usain Bolt Simulator, as I sprint forward making as much noise as possible, simply attempting to make it to the next exit before they catch me. It worked out quite well.
The underground depository was a frightening place, and I had no idea where or what to search. But I refused to think that all my efforts would come to nothing.
This level requires not only speed, but also stealth from the player. And by stealth, I mean dropping a file cabinet on a monkey. On the bright side, we finally made it to the archives and find the document we're looking for.
I had found the D6 documents, but Miller had not yet returned. Without his help, I wasn't certain I could get out of the library alive. But everything depended on it.
We exit the library, and we were about to be Donkey Konged into oblivion, but then we ended up being saved. We go to an impromptu headquarters, and we're given the opportunity to fully max out our kit. We basically get every endgame gun and free customizations, and just like that, we're off to D6.
Dark tunnel, wheel rattle, and the smell of death. That's how our journey to D6 began. But our goal seemed closer now.
We're traveling to D6 by railcar. The journey is anything but peaceful. Artyom gets psyoped mid-fight and gets knocked out again.
Artyom! Artyom! Artyom!
He wakes up and experiences a brief moment of peace, and then we're attacked by Nosalis. Clearly the devs made this easy by giving us a flamethrower, which is the best way of taking out Nosalis. The only problem I face is that I kinda burned myself a little. Not talking about third-degree burns all over my body, I'm talking about a little bit of Benzuko.
The chaos of the tunnel was locked away behind the airlock gates. They seemed invulnerable. And at that moment, so did my comrades.
Welcome to the dungeon, also known as the era where we cull teammates, because as we progress further, we just randomly lose people. These are highly trained soldiers, by the way. We mostly face Nosalis in these corridors, but at a certain point, the team democratically decides to send me through a door first. You won't believe this, but I got separated from the main group because the door closed behind me. We face some random scorpions. I don't know what their attacks are. They just walk up to me and throw jazz hands. They ask me to go band for band and then run away when they see how much military-grade ammo I'm carrying. After all that, I eventually make it back to the main team. We then discover an automated train that should take us to D6.
We were close to D6 now. It was hard to believe that we'd found the legendary command center. But was it worth so many lives? Soon, we would know the answer.
Welcome to D6. It's in a state of disrepair. We need to get it operational, and this requires us getting the power on. Requires Miller and Artyom getting to the control panel. There's also a very funny part where Miller just starts yelling numbers at Artyom and he has to flip some switches. Despite all of our efforts, the power still isn't coming on. That's when Miller decides to implement a tactical control panel smash to get things working. We make our way back to the missile controls and then power cuts off again. This is because the battery backup has been depleted. Need to get the main power back online. This is when the game decides to throw a new enemy at you. Again, the Latna's Pokemon. Once again, they probably have an attack, I just don't know what it is. They're usually shot before they can get it off. We make it back to the reactor, and are unable to get it back online digitally due to the mother sludge. Artyom then has to use a crane to manually lift up these rods, while getting Pukakade. The system is back online, but now we have to line up the shot, so Miller and I are heading towards some tower.
Miller and I left the train, then climbed up the tunnel to the Korolev Performance Hall. We were close to Ostankino Tower now. In the frozen streets, we joined the other rangers in the furious battle that began my story.
We're finally back to the scene from the beginning of the game. We fight our way up to the tower, and just as we're about to make it, a CCP pigeon heard Miller recognize Taiwan as a country and immediately went into kill mode. I managed to fend it off, but Miller is injured. I have to go the rest of the way alone. I got to a section where I thought I needed to parkour instead of just taking the ladder that was behind me. Let's not talk about that. As we get closer and closer to the peak of the tower, the Dark Ones begin invading our mind, showing images of graphic tees I used to wear back in middle school. Just as we're about to do the deed, we're dragged into Facebook's metaverse by the Dark Ones. And just like in real life, this place is barren. At some points in this puzzle, you need to run towards the Dark Ones, at another point you need to run away from the Dark Ones, and at one point you just gotta parkour. This is the Dark Ones doing everything in their power to stop you, or more specifically, to stop their death. You're knocked to the ground, and just as all hope is lost, you get a vision of Hunter, who gives you a gun. And then you introduce the Dark Ones to lead. You wake up after being knocked unconscious and see missiles heading towards the Dark One base. Apparently, this was the bad ending. You need to wake up from the mental battle with the Dark Ones and shoot the guidance system, since the Dark Ones apparently want peace now. I guess peace is a good ending. Yeah, they killed like 100 people on our way here, wiping out entire stations. Everyone is apologetic when faced with missiles. Maybe they were truly peaceful, but my god, you have mental powers. You could have conveyed this to me in a non-scary voice. They didn't have to convey such a simple message through moon runes, but in both endings, we won. We either get peace with the Dark Ones or peace with the Dark Ones. Humanity isn't safe. There's still demons and there's still Nosalis. You feel happy in this moment, but the majority of humanity is still suffering underground. The war between the communists and the Blue Eyes White Dragons still rages on. This is a wonderful ending. It really entices me to see what happens next in the series. That was a Hall of Fame yapping session. Don't worry, I'm done. I really hope you liked this video. I was a bit sick while making it. That's why my voice is all over the place. See you in the next